Hello, everyone. It is Tuesday, September 15th. Welcome to another episode of Together San Diego. I'm your host, Luis Cruz, Community Relations Director for the San Diego Union-Tribune. And joining me this afternoon is JoAnn Fields, Government Relations Director with the Asian Pacific Islander Initiative. JoAnn, always great to see you.
Great seeing you as well, especially on this topic of the census.
Right? Yeah, we have a lot to talk about. But before we get started, I should mention that you just joined our Union-Tribune Community Advisory Board, and we're all happy to have you on board. So thank
you for that invite. I'm excited to join the board with so many esteemed community leaders.
Yeah, no, and we're happy to have you, and I can't wait to work with you again. So you've been busy this entire year making sure people are counted in the U.S. Census 2020. Tell us about how that's been going.
So, as you know, COVID-19 has impacted our community in so many ways, and we actually started strategizing outreach 2 years ago. And due to COVID-19, a lot of those strategies went out the door because we cannot go to our traditional Pacific Islander Festival the end of September, or the Island Vibe Music Festival, where we have a large amount of people we're trying to reach, whether they're Filipino, Asian, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander. We look to the larger events to get the word out on the importance of participating in the census. But due to COVID-19, we have to get creative and innovative. How do we continue the outreach? So now we have learning Zoom. We're learning StreamYard like we are right now on how to, again, convey the message on getting the census done. And we have a new deadline. We were supposed to extend until October 31st, but for whatever reason, the U.S. Census Bureau Department decided that all operations will cease by September 30th. So that's just giving us, 15 days to get the full count done.
So what's the current strategy now?
So the strategy now, you may have seen us, and thank you, San Diego Union-Tribune, for covering us. We've had Census Caravans. That's something new that we've never done before, where we have census messaging on the cars. We invite community partners. So we have anywhere from 20 to 40 cars just parading through the hard-to-count neighborhoods. Most recently, we were on the west side of Chula Vista off 3rd Avenue, and we ended up at a small business, Mexipino Craft. And in that picture, we are recruiting participants in front of Seafood City and National City. National City is another very hard to reach census tract. And again, it's very diverse. Here we see Alejandra. She's one of our Latina census response representatives. So they are the staff of the census that will collect the data. And there is Hilda. She is speaking Tagalog to that shopper. And again, she is collecting the data for the census. So we've noticed that we have very good participation when we're in a neutral area. Neutral meaning we're not door knockers. The enumerators is their official title. So enumerators are knocking on people's doors, asking the same 9 questions that Hilda is asking of this Seafood City shopper in National City.
So why is it important for the population to be counted, and what happens if there's an undercount?
So if you think about it, how do we know when the governor says we are going to shelter in home? How many people is that? We're not guessing that there's 1 million people in the city of San Diego or in National City. According to the census, there's 60,000 residents. And we know that because of this decennial census count, meaning this happens only once every 10 years. That's why there's so much effort to get a complete count. We need a demographic count so that, again, if I use COVID-19 as an example, if an emergency announcement needs to go out, what languages do we need to speak in the community? In the case of National City, it would be English, Spanish, and Tagalog. But if we go into the East County, we know that there's a growing Middle Eastern community. So Arabic would be a language that we would need to reach. So that's just a couple of examples of why the census count is so important to our community. With an undercount, we also know that we'll be under-resourced. So again, comparing National City to the city of San Diego, if our president is allocating funds for additional hospital beds or doctors and nurses that need to come help assist the COVID-19 pandemic in the city, well, if we have 60,000 reported for National City, but there's actually 100,000 people, then we're short 40,000. So therefore, we're short resources. And again, those are just a couple of examples, but very important examples, because we cannot conduct a count during a pandemic. You want to be able to plan ahead. Another example is school. When we have schools being built on the east side of Chula Vista, it's because we know that there is a huge population growth on the east side in Winding Walk, East Lake, Rolling Hills. So we plan according to population. We're not guessing, we're planning, projecting, and then budgeting for all these programs and services.
All right, speaking of National City, let's take a look at some maps here.
Sure.
This is National City here.
Yes.
What's the count been like down in the South Bay?
So according to 2010, according to the U.S. Census, and this is a great tool that is available to anyone across the whole United States and all its territories. In 2010, the response rate was 66.6%, meaning 66.6% of the population in National City responded to their census. So that is good for us to gauge where are we at. And currently, as of September 14th, just yesterday, we surpassed the 2010 response rate. So that is 68. Is that 68.0? It's kind of tiny.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So 68% of the community has responded thus far. So in the next 2 weeks, we have a huge push with all of our community partners, with our media partners like the San Diego Union-Tribune, of conveying the message. Please complete your census. There is only 9 questions on the survey. And this time we have technology on our side. So you don't have to wait for someone to knock on the door. You don't have to drive out to Seafood City if you don't want to. You can complete the census right after this broadcast by going to my2020census.gov. There's only 9 questions. There's no question about citizenship or legality. There's no questions about a bank account. It's very straightforward questions that is the same, again, across the board, across the county of San Diego, all 50 states, and including their territories of Puerto Rico, Guam, America, Samoa, and the Commonwealth of the North Marianas Islands. But all those locations that I just talked about, can you imagine? How do we do this? So it's all hands on deck. Take a few minutes. It takes usually less than 10 minutes, but it'll make an impact on the next 10 years.
Right. Let's take a look at Imperial Beach and see how it's doing.
Okay, so in Imperial Beach, there's a slight change. In 2010, it's 64.2%, and as of September 14th, it looks like it's is at 65.7%.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Percent. So a slight change, but again, we have 2 more weeks to complete the census. So community partners include our elected officials, the VFW, our faith-based, our community-based organizations, our school districts. We have reached out to the Sweetwater Union School District that has Mar Vista High School in Imperial Beach. So we're asking them, please put it on your electronic marquee. Please, everyone, go to my2020census.gov and complete your census. They also have an opportunity to send out a robocall or a blast, an e-newsletter with that same announcement. So it's all hands on deck. We're trying to be creative, use technology, and have it on our side. But really, you are a trusted voice, Luis. Some people think I am a trusted voice. And so we try to encourage our circles of influence to participate in the census for so many reasons. But again, that impact is going to impact us for the next 10 years.
Well, you're definitely a trusted voice, and I'm telling you, I don't know how you make the time to you're everywhere in San Diego County. I love how dedicated you are. Talk a little bit about what's going on here.
And so just last week, we had a press conference with Congressman Juan Vargas, also with the Black American Political Association of California, San Diego chapter, and Chicano Federation at their Child Care Development Center in Barrio Logan. David Bennett is there representing the U.S. Census Bureau. So in this community, our 0 to 5 segment is undercounted. So we had to go to the child care center, and that's where we meet with the parents, grandparents, guardians. When they drop off their kids at preschool, that's where we're trying to complete the census. Meet them where they're at. Again, we invite people to go to the internet. Maybe they're not connected to the internet at home. Well, we have our questionnaire assistance centers. It's mobile, because it's on tablets, and with U.S. Census staff, they'll go on site to complete the census. So right next door, and you don't see it in the picture, is Por Vida Cafe. So as an incentive, one of our community partners, Paving Great Futures, is hosting census and coffee. So you complete your census, we'll buy your coffee, we'll talk for a few minutes, complete the census, and then you're on your way. But that's another way that we can have a win-win in the community. We win when we have the data, but we're also winning when we support our small businesses. So as you know, I try to marry as many things as I can at one time, because time is of the essence. We have to get creative. So if it's that cup of coffee that will be the incentive for you to participate with us, well, and we have a community sponsor, let's do it. Because again, we need this accurate count for the projection and allocation of resources for the next 10 years.
And JoAnn, if I'm not mistaken, you are standing next to, is that Nancy Maldonado in the red dress?
Yes, that's Nancy Maldonado. She is the CEO of Chicano Federation. And to the far left in the blue blazer jacket, that's Roberto Alcantar. He is the Chief Strategist Officer of the Chicano Federation. They've been great partners with the Count Me 2020 coalition, of which I am part of the coalition that was funded by Governor Newsom to supplement community outreach along with the U.S. Census Bureau. So that's a difference that we have. U.S. Census Bureau is federal staff. They are the only entity that will collect the answers to the 9 questions asked on the questionnaire. But again, we are trusted voices. We are boots on the ground from now until the next 10 years. And so we interact with the community already. So people do trust when we say, let's all participate, and this is how it's going to impact us. So in this case, with the Child Care Center, they have been impacted by receiving resources to help child care centers. If you're a child care provider through the Chicano Federation, there was federally funds received to help sanitize the child care center, because we know that there's an expense to that. And then also to provide childcare for essential workers. It is hard to find childcare at this time, trusted childcare, and Chicano Federation is one of our community resources, so that you can find a clearinghouse of what childcare centers are available. And in this case, in Barrio Logan, they have their preschool.
Yeah, I should mention that Nancy Maldonado, the CEO of Chicano Federation, is also one of our newest board members on the Community Advisory Board for the Union-Tribune. So we're happy to have her as well. JoAnn, you're also including some of your relatives here.
Yeah, yes, because again, we that is my oldest grandson. He's my only grandson. I have two girls in Chicago. He is in Alameda with his dad, who's stationed in the Coast Guard in Alameda, and so that's King Kai. That's my nickname for him, Kai Noah. And in the next 10 years, we are going to be planning for his preschool, kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, and a possibility his freshman year in high school. So what does that mean? That's after school programs. That's a possible free lunch program. Being in the military, sometimes you do qualify for that. But so many federally funded programs and services. We want to make sure we have access to quality health care. So hospitals, also the roads. As the population grows, especially here in San Diego, in the South Bay, you see expansion of freeways. That's not guessing we have more cars on the road. It's because of the population count. So Kai Noah is he's my poster child along with myself, and for a national campaign in that picture, the National Federation of Filipino American Associations.
That's awesome. And we actually have a little message from your grandson right now that we'd like to play.
The accountant Census 2020. The accountant Census 2020. The accountant Census 2020.
So cute.
Yes, he's in training. He's going to be the next spokesperson in the next 10 years. And yeah, so he came to visit family. We met up in Temecula. And because he's expecting a baby sister on Christmas, actually. So
Wow.
they came to visit, and I said, "Hey, hold on to this yard sign, and please deliver the message." So some people listen to him before they listen to me.
Well, got to get them started early. So got to get them started young. That's so awesome. So what can San Diegans do now to ensure they are counted?
So first, I want to say thank you to everyone that has completed the census. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But now we're going to ask you to reach out to your family, your friends, your coworkers. You can send them a text. Please go to my2020census.gov and get your census done by September 30th. It only takes a few minutes. For most, it's only 10 minutes or less, and it makes an impact in our community for the next 10 years. So please reach out to your network and share this broadcast. So you're watching this on the San Diego Union-Tribune's live stream. Share this with your network. They'll watch it because you're watching it, and they'll hear the message. And really, it does make an impact. And we're counting on all of you. Use your circle of influence to get it done. And we have to do it by September 30th. So thank you, Luis, for sharing this time to get the word out.
Thank you. Now, I understand you're leaving on Sunday for a California Gold Coast Census Caravan. What is that, and what do you hope to accomplish?
So that is, again, another creative and innovative way for us to get the word out. So we have a 22-foot RV. We are going to make most likely 22 stops from here up to the Bay. We're trying to confirm if we'll be going all the way up to Sacramento. But we're going into the hard to count communities. We have partnered with Seafood City, with Island Pacific, and other businesses and other entities. We have elected officials joining us. We're working with Congressman TJ Cox in Central Valley, where it used to be. We're going through Central Valley. We're going to Cerritos, where our former mayor, Mark Polito, will meet us. We're going to the city of Carson, the city of Artesia, where Melissa Ramoso is gathering her community partners. We're working with our labor unions, the Filipino Workers Center in central LA, so that we're going to the Larry Itliong Affordable Housing Village. And again, that's a federally funded program. So again, we are showing the community, when you participate, this is how federal resources come into our community. And we are partnering with all the entities that receive government funding or is impacted in some way or another by the census. We're raising the visibility. This is our last push before we're done on September 30th.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add regarding the census?
I really think I've said all I can say. Again, please participate in the census. Share it. Share this broadcast. That's the easiest thing you can do. If you're too shy to speak in public, that's fine. Just share this with your network, and people will wonder, "Hey, what's going on? What are they talking about at the Union-Tribune?" And we're talking about the census getting a complete and accurate count.
See, that is very good advice. I love it. Now, you're going to join us in a few weeks again to talk about the Mexipino experience.
Yes, but you also have a share in that. Again, we're trying to be creative and innovative, and I believe this is will be our 4th annual. Many people may know that half of September, so mid-September to mid-October, is Latino Heritage Month. And in the month of October, we have Filipino History Month. So I'm like, hey, there's an overlap in the first 2 weeks. And during that overlap, I'd like to really talk about the history of Mexipinos. Many know our most notable Mexipino in San Diego, Javier the Airman.
Well, let's back up.
That's a teaser. That's a teaser.
Well, no, I know, I love it. Well, no, let's back up a little bit. Describe to people who may not know what the term Mexipino is about.
Oh, okay. I got excited there. So Mexipino is our generation of families that may be of Mexican and Filipino descent. And the way our communities came together was working in the farm field. So many know about Cesar Chavez for the United Farm Workers Movement. Also Dolores Huerta, very popular labor worker leaders. But many people don't know that the beginning of the UFW started with the Filipino community, with Larry Itliong and Philip Veracruz and the Manongs. Manongs is a term that it's a term for our male leaders, males in our community. So with Philip Veracruz, Larry Itliong started the Great Grape Strike in 1965. But because of immigration laws, that we were very limited to how many could migrate into the United States from the Philippines, which was only 50 a year. After we became independent of the United States. And the jobs were really in agriculture, working in the fields. But they were working under very horrible conditions, no breaks, no break room, in the hot heat, very long hours. And so they initiated the Great Grape Strike. They approached Cesar Chavez to please join, because we know we're stronger in numbers, we're stronger together. And after the second ask, Cesar Chavez said yes. And that's when the strike grew, and and it continued for 5 years. And after 5 years, that impact created labor laws that we see today. And as I listen, and where I learned this was actually at the 3rd annual Cesar Chavez breakfast at the convention center, and Richard Ibarra was speaking, and I heard someone say Filipino. I'm like, what are they talking about? And they talked about how the United Farm Workers Movement started with Filipinos collaborating with the Mexican community, the Latino community. And I didn't learn that until that breakfast. And it's not in the curriculum yet. But I don't want to wait for ethnic studies to be actually implemented. Why not celebrate our history, and let's celebrate it together, because we're celebrating Latino Heritage Month already, and also Filipino History Month. So let's be creative, innovative, have fun, and learn our history that's being missed in the classroom. But we don't have to wait for someone to bless it and say, yes, it's on the curriculum. We have oral histories. We have people that lived that experience that are still with us. So let's tell the story. Let's tell it together. And I'm excited that we'll talk more in depth about that mid-October.
Yeah, so I didn't want to cut you off. What can we expect in the next in the beginning of October?
So I am going to try to recruit, and they may be watching, but I have yet to give the formal invitation. But Javier the X-Man, he is our most notable, I think, Mexipino here in San Diego. Many know of him from Magic 92.5. He's a great radio personality, but more importantly, very involved in the community and embraces his Mexipino culture and family. We also have Sherry Knight and Sergio Hernandez that are raising Mexipina twins, and who can also share that story. But there are a number of leaders that have been part of that movement. Luis Natividad, De La Gretes. So I'd like to see if we could tap in for them to share the oral histories, and let's celebrate, because we're already in the pandemic, but how can we still have fun and learn our culture and history? So now we're learning again, StreamYard and Zoom and all these online applications, but it can be done. So I want to be respectful and do it in the right way. And I have to do a shout out to Dr. Lupe Corona from Southwestern College. It was with her that we were able to start a Mexipino celebration 4 years ago. But she was also part of the committee of the Latino Indigenous Peoples Unity Coalition that was the host of the Census Convention breakfast. So with them, I've had a lifetime of friendships and memories. And actually, that's how we met, because of people that we knew on the committee, then working with Congresswoman Davis at a later point. But it was really the community that brought us together. So a little history there.
Right. All right. So invitation to Javier the X-Man. If he's watching, you're welcome anytime. To everybody else watching, happy Hispanic Heritage Month. It kicks off today. And JoAnn, I love your passion. I love everything you do out there. The name of this show is called Together San Diego, and I love how you work to bring everybody together, JoAnn.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Usually we don't get to tell the story. So, if you give me the mic, I'm going to tell it.
And I appreciate that. We need people like you to go out there and tell it. All right. Thank you so much, JoAnn Fields, Government Relations Director with the Asian Pacific Islander Initiative. Thanks, JoAnn.
All right. Have a good one.
And thank you at home for watching. Have a great day, everybody.
News is more important today than ever before.
I'm currently outside Otay Mesa Detention Center.
I'm about to get a report at Sharp.
Out at Sunset Cliffs.
COVID testing site.
We live for these times when we're able to bring the news into the homes of people who need it the most.
I thank all of you for supporting our work.
When you subscribe to the paper, you're telling us that you believe in what we do.